evening, good afternoon, good morning, from wherever you are in this great world we call Earth. As we are, it's 10:04 my time. I don't know what time it is for you, Dan. Bailey, you're in the same time zone as me, correct?
Yeah, it's 10:04 over here as well.
Okay. And we are here
It's
for
4:04
4:04? Wow, that's a
for
big
me.
difference.
Yeah.
Well, with that amount of delay, you would think it's 4:05 over there. Jesus Christ, Dan. Good morning, buddy.
You're the only one complaining. I hear nothing. It sounds good to me. But I feel like Bailey complains about everything, or he loves everything way too much. But anyway,
I'm
we'll get
young.
into that.
It's what we do. We don't have middle of the road opinions. We either love things or we hate things. That's just in my blood.
Yeah,
You know,
you've
I
got
have to be
you've got the energy for it. You've got the energy for it. That's what it is.
I didn't
Yeah.
say that. I just said that
definitely
it happens. I do not have the energy for it.
I don't have the energy.
I slept for 8 hours last night. That was the first time I slept for 8 hours in like 2.5 months. It was incredible.
Well, before you dropped on, Bailey, I was telling Dan that I was up till about 1 o'clock in the morning last night, as I have recently been added to I'm a sit-in president of my HOA board, and it seems like the neighborhood has gone with array over the last 48 hours, and I was just getting berated last night. So that was my evening. So, but we're enough of that. We're here for that.
Does not sound fun.
No. It's been 2 months since our last episode. And as we stated, that we're back today. We're going to be talking about. There's been a lot that's definitely happened in the landscape of pop culture over the last few months since our last episode. A lot of big movies have come out. A lot have been successes. A lot have flopped. A lot has happened in the TV world. A lot of successes. A lot of flops as well. I definitely think we are in an age where predictions don't matter, in the sense that I think a lot of people say, like, "Hey, this is going to be successful," and it's not. And the movies that people think won't be successful, for some reason, are doing really well. But before we break into that, I am going to go to Dan Mumford, it's been a little while since we've been there, and let's catch up with Dan. Dan, how is things going on that side of the world?
It's going pretty well, yeah. Trying to think what I've been up to recently. I've been working pretty hard on a few projects that, as always, no one can know what they are for the moment. But like, yeah, pretty good. Not much has changed in my world. Trying to move house. There you go. So that takes up a lot of energy, sort of mentally. So that's what I'm focused on quite a bit at the moment.
Are you moving outside the city, or are you staying in the city?
Out, trying to leave
He needs more room
London.
for George. He needs to have
Basically,
a wide
yeah.
backyard for George. Now that he's got his little homestead life with his wife and his dog, and all of their potatoes.
There's that, but also things like I need more room for things like this. Yeah. So, do you know? I went into a toy comic shop yesterday, and I forgot that film was coming out this Friday, and they were everywhere. And I'm a big Turtles fan from when I was really young. So with this new run, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna get myself a little Raphael. Of course I am.
Dan, have you done a Turtles poster yet?
Yeah, I did one based on the 80s cartoon. Yeah.
Okay.
But I want to do more, and I think I know the Bottleneck Gallery. They have the license for it, and
yeah,
I think
I did one through
They
Bottleneck.
would probably want or allow me to do another one.
Yeah.
So might do that because I love them. I'll always have time for the Turtles.
Oh.
Yeah.
And also that new film looks really good. I think it looks
Mutant
really
Mayhem.
good.
Looks
Well,
phenomenal.
They said yesterday in an interview I was reading on I think it was E's website, that they said that based off the success of this film and the age range of people that are going to it, that they're predicting that it might be heavily influenced by adults bringing their children, that they're looking to make some sort of Ronnie movie or something like that in the future, like the Tales of Ronnie. I don't know. It's like a samurai Ninja Turtle or something like that.
What is this? A character?
The
Well, it's
fifth
supposed-
turtle?
I'll have to send you the link, but it's one of the Ninja Turtles, but it's like based off. It's like a darker comic that was based off one of them. And
The Last Ronin. That was a pretty dark story. Yeah.
Is that Raphael that became the last Ronin? He's the one with the
No,
No.
no, it's the one that you expect not to. I
Is
mean,
it?
it's the it's the first issue. It doesn't really spoil it. It's Michelangelo. He becomes
That's wild.
Yeah, he's the only one that's left. It's one of those
Yeah,
sort of like what if future stories, I guess.
Well, what's wild is so when
very
Turtles
good.
first comic, it was like hyper violent, like made
Yeah.
specifically for adults, and then it was only after it really started catching a wider audience that they kind of like redid the entire kind of like branding and story of the comic book to make it more age appropriate. So just because first started, it was a zine. It wasn't even a comic book. It was like a DIY zine that they put in local comic shops.
Yeah, the history of the Turtles is pretty wild. Actually, there's quite a good documentary on it. I can't remember.
The Toys That Made Us on Netflix. They have an
no,
episode.
there's a full one though, and it goes it goes even further back. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
They talk about the comic book artist and all those, and like how they didn't really think highly of it because it was like self-published at one point, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah.
Bailey
so
Race?
there you go. I'm excited the Turtles are back.
Well, it should be good. And it comes out here Wednesday, so I'm looking forward to that. I think I'm taking the kids to see it. Bailey Race,
Today's been an exciting day with media that's come out. Today, the Beanie Bubble came out about the Beanie Baby burst that happened back in the 90s.
Has it only just come out for you?
It just came out. There have been a couple.
Friday.
No, well, maybe it came out on Friday. Maybe I'm just now seeing it on Apple. But earlier this morning, I watched it when I was making breakfast. Loki season 2, the official trailer dropped this morning, and it looks absolutely batshit crazy. Like they turned the crazy up from season 1 a billion notches up, and they brought in I can't remember his name, but he played the husband in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and he's in the show now. And they like go into the quantum realm and they do this and that. So it looks insane. Like it looks absolutely just, balls to the wall. Everything that you would expect from Loki being a success like it was, they took all the good things and just turned them up to 11. So it looks phenomenal.
Well, that's awesome.
And Jonathan Majors is in the trailer.
Really?
So I don't think they are. Although, do you know what? They really do not focus on him at all. He's in maybe 2 moments for a few seconds in a 2-minute trailer.
The Kang statue was in the trailer. That was the only thing that I saw. I didn't see.
It's him. It's him in like olden times on the stage. It's the same bit that was at the end of one of the films, I think.
The like electricity guy on stage at the carnival. Okay, got you.
Yeah. And I guess that's them kind of being like, we're pushing ahead with Jonathan Majors, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because they've
that, or they can figure out some way to kill him off screen if they aren't pushing forward with him.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we're going to talk about this, but like it feels like Marvel's kind of in free fall at the moment. Like everything that's happening is just going wrong. I've not even watched Secret Invasion, but I know what happens, and I know that it's not meant to be very good.
I don't know. I had high hopes for it, and honestly, there were a couple. I didn't keep up with it, and I think this is the first Disney Plus show that I haven't kept up with every week when they come out. Just because I don't know, I wasn't super enthralled, and then I started seeing tidbits pop up about this big reveal, and I was like, oh fuck, okay, I need to watch it for the sole fact that I need to be up to date with all of the different tidbits of things that like come out. So I watched it for the sake of almost like research purposes to make sure that I was caught up with everything. But then I don't know, it was fine, and the opening sequence was AI, which I was really bummed about. Because they didn't want to hire actual artists, and they were saying like there's one big twist in the show that was like a huge moment for everybody, for it to be like a giant surprise reveal that has like huge implications for the MCU for the last couple of years. And the only reason that they did it is because the AI fucked up, because in the when they typed out the AI thing to generate it, they meant to make one of the characters human, but the AI fucked up and made him a Skrull. So they were like, I guess we just have to make him a Skrull in the show. And so that was.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right.
Yeah. So there was a huge reveal that someone was a Skrull, and I don't want to say it in case anyone listening, hasn't watched it yet, because it is a pretty big spoiler. But the AI made that person a Skrull in the opening credits, and so because of that, they completely and it's not a small character. That's all I'll say. It is a main character in the MCU, someone that has had like huge story beats and huge ties to big plot points throughout the last, I don't know, like 7 years, 6 or 7 years.
I mean, I know who you're talking about. They did that
Yeah.
because of the credit sequence.
Yep.
Could they not just cut
that
out
person
of
was
the credits?
initially not supposed to be a Skrull. And
Yeah,
so
but-
they
but
pretty much
could-
rewrote the last 2 episodes specifically to make it because the credit sequence fucked up and
Are
made
you
that person a
sure?
Skrull. That's what I was
Are you
reading.
sure?
That's
I
what I
don't
was
think that-
reading.
I
just
don't
seems
think they would
unbelievable.
do that, Bailey.
That's what I was reading.
You-
Because here's the
you
thing, that
changed-
person being a
you
Skrull
changed-
doesn't make any sense.
It
So
doesn't.
that's
You
all I'm
changed-
saying.
You would just cut that bit out of the title sequence.
Yeah, I think you read
That's
that on
all
the
I'm
Onion.
saying. I don't
Would
know.
you realize that's
I
a
don't know.
satire website, right?
It was on,
Did you
no,
read
it's
it?
my favorite reputable news source
Yeah.
that I get all
The
of my
Onion,
news
yeah.
from.
Yeah.
And what is it? It's called, it's a vegetable. What is
The
it?
Onion?
Oh yeah, that's what it is. You read it too?
Well,
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, anyways. I also read that, what was it? Oh yeah, Optimus Prime was recently caught with a 13-year-old Camaro. Isn't that insane?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's disastrous.
Dan, you did say one thing I do want to bring up because it is an interesting point based off of a lot of our previous episodes and how things are going. You did say that Marvel is in a tailspin, but I don't think it's just Marvel in its own sense. It's Disney in general. Disney hasn't had a successful movie in a profitable way in a very long time. Even Guardians of the Galaxy didn't make the money it was supposed to. And as of right now, and I could be wrong based off of this past weekend and stuff, hasn't been successful. But I think it has a lot to do with their marketing team and how they're handling things. I will give you a prime example of their poor decisions. Right now, Barbie and Oppenheimer are killing the movie theaters, which is fantastic for cinema. It is one of the best things that are going on right now. Right now, I've gone to the movie theaters over the last 2 weeks like 5 times. There's been a lot of movies coming out that I've wanted to see that I didn't want to get spoiled online, so I've gone. And one of them was Haunted Mansion. We went to the early access for it. We're big Haunted Mansion
I really
people.
want to go see that.
Oh, it's fantastic. I love it. I think
I hear great things.
Such a great movie. I mean, my whole house is decorated as Haunted Mansion for the last few years with like artwork and stuff during Halloween. Love it. With that being said, the fact they decided to put it out on July 30th over the summer for a Halloween movie makes 0 sense. This movie would have been so much more successful in a September.
If you look at it,
release.
all the Scream movies have been released in February and March historically.
Which is also really weird.
Yeah, ever since the 90s, they've always been released in early parts of the year. I honestly think it might be them just trying to hit their target demographic, maybe just because I think like late 20s, early 30s people are going to go see movies while it's snowing outside still in areas where there's snow. And so they know that, okay, if we put a movie out in the time where a lot of people might be going and doing indoor activities, we can try and capitalize on that. And honestly, I think a big reason why they put the movie out in July is because there are drive-ins. And so they were like, we can get this on a bunch of double feature drive-ins with movies like Barbie and Oppenheimer to try and kind of like ride that, just like uplift.
Well, here's the thing.
But also
I'm
it's
gonna
summer holidays. I was just going to say,
Yeah.
because like for kids it's some holidays. So.
Oh, that's true. I am going to disagree a little bit with you. Barbie and Oppenheimer, the hype behind Barbie and Oppenheimer has nothing to do necessarily with the movie, but with the viral trend that started with them a couple of months ago with people trying to add them together, doing the whole poster scene, the TikTok trend. Every time I go to a movie right now, it's literally people dressed in pink going to the movies, making TikTok videos outside the theater of them going into the movie. I don't think if it was as such a viral sensation of what it is, like, on TikTok and all these other social media platforms, I don't know if it'd be as successful. I think the movie's okay. It had its moments. It's a funny movie, but overall,
you're talking about Oppenheimer or Barbie?
Barbie. I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet.
Yeah, it's a very funny film.
Very. That's why I just wanted to double check. I was like, after the episode, we have to have a talk. If you think of that Oppenheimer, it's funny.
No. I have not watched. I wanted to see Oppenheimer the other day, but I decided to go to. It was sold out, and I took my son and we saw Talk to Me instead, which was absolutely fantastic.
I've heard good things about Talk to Me. Although Oppenheimer, there's one theater here in Nashville that's showing the 70 millimeter. And it is sold out for the next 3 weeks. And so I think we're going to end up driving like 2 hours away from the city to go to the second nearest one just to go and see it on the 70 millimeter. Cause I hear that
that's the same in London. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an entirely different experience if you watch it on the IMAX film though, versus just watching the digital is what I hear. So I really
I've got to be honest. I'm probably going to watch Oppenheimer at home. Oppenheimer at home.
Oppenheimer. Yeah.
Just, it's a 3-hour film. which I can do, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you know what? I'd rather go see the Turtles in the cinema than
Yeah.
Oppenheimer.
I want to experience Oppenheimer on an IMAX screen. That's my biggest holdup, because it is absolutely a movie that I think I would want to watch at home as well. But just because of the visuals, for the fact that they recreated the atom bomb without CGI, like I want to be able to witness, like it's insane. And so just for the sheer fact that they did that and how insane it is, I want to be able to experience it on the largest format that I possibly can. And I honestly think, I went to an early screening of Barbie a couple of days before it came out, and it was at an IMAX theater. And I think honestly, like I mean, I love that movie. I think it is one of my favorite movies that has come out in the last 5 years. But I also think the fact that I saw it on such a large screen might have also played into it, because that movie is so hyper stylized with all the,
I was gonna say the color.
Yeah, well, the hand painted backgrounds and everything as well. Like it had visuals that being able to see all of that, like it added to my experience so much, I think. And so with a movie like Oppenheimer, where there are so many like meticulously created details, I want to be able to see it in the largest format that I possibly can.
Or, as the director intended, just watch it on your iPhone,
Yeah.
Just like that. Do you know what? I genuinely, I don't know how people watch films on their phones. I can't do that at all. I can't. I can. TV at home, yeah. Computer screen, sure. Phone, I can't do it. I don't know how people.
If I ever watch something on the airplane, I always take my iPad and I always just download it onto my iPad from Netflix and watch it offline. That downloadable feature on Netflix and all the other streaming platforms, one of the greatest things that they've ever done, honestly, just because I can choose what I want to watch. I have a flight to New York coming up in a couple of days, and I honestly think I'm going to download Invincible on Amazon and rewatch it, even though I just rewatched it ahead of season 2 coming up.
Going back and talking about the 70 millimeter on Oppenheimer, a quick story about this. So I worked at movie theaters almost my entire youth through college. One of my first big jobs I had right when I was 13, sweeping floors, everything, all the way through until I was about 24. And I learned how to put film together. Like, it was one of the greatest joys in the world. On a Tuesday evening, you would get the delivery at 11 o'clock at night in these cans. You'd have to put them together, splice it all together, put the reels on, put it on the platter, roll through it, and watch it all together to make sure everything's good. All the bone marks line up, everything, all that stuff. Yeah. So I talked to, his name's Jeff. It was one of the guys I worked with up in New York, and he was a projectionist. He's probably in his 70s now, and he's a Facebook friend of mine. But they don't have, right now, projectionist, that's gone. It's not, there's no one really doing it anymore. I'm servicing some of AMC's digital projectors, doing some things every so often, but that's what it is. You're going into a booth right now, and it's an oversized, projector. It's all it is. It's nothing as crazy as you would think it is like it was back in the day. But a lot of...
Is it automated?
It is, well, yes. So the way it works nowadays, there's two ways to get it done depending on what cinema you have. So there is basically a digital projector. It's about the size of a desk that is up above each screen. Depending on if it's IMAX, it's much bigger. If it's just digital, if it's Sony, it depends on what brand is up there that's actually displaying the image. Will determine the size of it, what lamp it's using, and stuff like that. But basically, it's a PC inside of it. And there's and if you're AMC, they actually have, if you ever go to AMC and you look at the back side of it, they have these massive satellite dishes. And those are what's actually getting the signal to download the actual information. So they actually have the times ahead of time of when the movie's supposed to start and play. Okay. So and then that's when the movie downloads. It usually downloads on like the day before they have the release, and then it goes through its own cycle, and then that's it. Or if you're a smaller cinema, you usually get basically a big, huge like hard drive that you would plug into the projector that's already connected to internet,
it has all
and has a code on it, and it allows it to download and play at the same time. So that's how it works nowadays. With the 70 millimeter, there was a lot of theaters that still have the capabilities of utilizing 35 millimeter, 70 millimeter film, but they only have them as a backup, just in case, like they can get a second run film for cheap or stuff like that, especially around the holidays. But you can still do 70 millimeter. The problem is right now, they don't really have the people to do it. So they're actually having to go and find people.
Well, there's only 36 theaters in the country right now for it.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. 36 theaters in America right now to do the 70 millimeter.
So Jeff is doing the 3 that are in New York. He's basically traveling between all 3, and he's looking at all 3. He's a retired guy. Yeah, and he's a projectionist, but he's making bank right now because he is retired, and he's one of the only few people left that does it. But they had to one of the theaters in New York, and I think it's the one, if I'm correct, I think it's the one in Nassau County. They actually had to the spools hadn't been used, the platters hadn't been used in such a long time, and Oppenheimer being 3 hours long is equivalent to the weight of what Titanic was. So I believe, if I remember correctly, it's 16 reels, and each reel is, I don't know, I think 50 to 75 pounds. The platter itself was bending. They actually had to get a welder to come in and weld the plates underneath it to hold it up to be able to, because what happens is if the platters bend, and I've seen it happen before for longer movies, the film will start slowing down and then it will break. Yeah. So if you ever went to a movie back in the day and you saw and I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I mean, Belly, you're much younger, and I'm not saying this, but I mean, digital movies have been around much longer in your lifetime than me and Dan.
I did see film was a thing in my town before they switched to digital. So probably for the first maybe 9 or 10 years of my life, the theater in my hometown, which, super small town, middle of nowhere, upstate New York, they were still running off of film. And so they would still get the actual film reels shipped to them, because I remember they used to have the case that they were shipped, whichever movies were showing, they had the cases on the wall with the little what's the little tape that was on it that pretty much handwritten what was on it, and that was kind of their way of saying now showing. And then they made the switch to digital when I was middle school ish, and then I think the theater about 25 minutes away from me, which was the next closest theater, 25-30 minutes, they were also film up until around high school. So, both of them were holding on to film for a long time. But something interesting about the Oppenheimer film reel, with it being 11 miles long, I was watching a recent interview with Robert Downey Jr. and Nolan, and they were saying that it takes about 3 hours to walk 11 miles. And so you can walk and watch Oppenheimer in real time and reach the end of how long the film spool is by the end of your walk. And it would be the exact same amount of time, which is kind of nuts. It's kind of funny.
That is kind of nuts.
Isn't I think I heard that Oppenheimer was pretty much, he couldn't make it any longer if he wanted to put it out on that film format either. I think that's literally the limit to what you can do.
So on the end of every platter, on the platters, there's these markings, right? And they tell you and it's for how long films are. And the longest, now it could have changed since I've been in cinema, and I can ask my buddy Jeff, but the last mark is 3:15, right? And it's red. And the 15 minutes that are at the end are the danger zone almost. You don't want it, because what happens is if it's too heavy, the film can actually just fall off the side. So as it's spinning, it spins in a way that it's basically, as it spins, the film, so the platter moves, and in the middle the film's kind of going like this, right? And then it's going up and around and through the projector. And as it's going like this, the film's loosening, right? So the platter's loosening, and then it's going up to another platter that's basically putting it all back together. So you have one platter on the bottom, platter on top, or vice versa, how it's moving, and you have the film loosening in the middle to go through. What happens is, if you have such a long film and it goes through that way and it's not tight enough on the top, well, even though it's 3 hours long, it might actually be wider than the 3. And the more you play film, the more looser the platters, the more the the reels loosen a little bit on the platters, because it's not reel to reel. It's basically this massive ass platter with all the film on it. And the looser it gets, it potentially can fall over. So you always want to be under that marking. And if it wasn't, what you'd have to do, and I'm trying to remember the movie, there was a movie that was over 3 hours long that they did, and that's when they started you'd have it where they'd have breaks. A lot of films, the reason Titanic had part 1 and part 2 was because we actually had they had a platter that was showing, because the smaller platters, right, that was only 35 millimeter. So if you had just a 35 millimeter platter, the longest you could go for is 2 hours, and then you'd have to have a break in the movie. We'd have to put the other platter online for platter 2, and that's when the break would be over, and that would go through, and then you'd put platter 1 on top, and you'd have to basically re-reel everything. So you're constantly having to shuffle things. So that's why there's always 2 parts to Titanic in many movie theaters, because they didn't have the capability.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, look at me dropping some information. But so let's get right into the Barbie movie. I thought it was a decent movie. I laughed. My kids laughed. We had a good time and stuff for that. I don't think it would be as successful if it wasn't for the TikTok trends and people dressing up and limo rides to a movie theater and dressing in pink. I thought it was a decent movie. It was good. Will I ever watch it again? Probably not. I don't hate the movie. I don't think it was terrible by any means. I give it a 7 out of 10 on a laughability out of an entire cinema feature. I give it a 6 out of 10. I don't think it was great, but I am very happy when I say this. that how much money it has brought to cinema and how many more people are coming to movies in general.
I think it's going to be really good for also making actual good movies based on toy IPs. And I will say, I just watched yesterday the new Transformers as well, which let me say, I loved it. I thought, like, as a soft reboot to a franchise that has been around for so long, I thought it was phenomenal. And then the twist at the end, like the very, very end of the movie, and tying together different. I'm not going to say it, but I'm not going to say it, but it ties together another toy franchise that
I think I know
that Hasbro owns. And when that happened,
they've done it in the comics. They've done it in the comics, so I'm pretty much sure I know.
But seeing it on like the full-fledged like blockbuster like screen, I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it. I was watching it while I was in my studio yesterday, and I audibly said, "Holy fucking shit! There is no goddamn way that they are doing this." And so I think, and I was reading a couple of articles after Barbie came out, because like I said, I saw it a couple days ahead for when it came out, and I was in Chicago for Flatstock last weekend. And while I was just kind of like sitting during the downtime, I was just like scrolling, reading just like different thought and think pieces on the movie, just like what people thought. And a really big thing that is about to happen is the Hasbro and Mattel CEOs are kind of just like, wait, holy shit, if we actually put real money, real time into real writers and real directors, after the SAG-AFTRA strike hopefully finishes up with them being paid a living wage, they're going to start coming around and coming back to hiring real people that make real movies based on these toy IPs. And so I think, once the time comes and once everything is all back to where it should be, we're going to see like a huge resurgence of like movies based on toys and on other IP that are not explicitly like cinema. We're going to start seeing actual good media come out, and I'm so excited about that. I'm excited for whenever they actually make a Rescue Rangers movie, because I loved those when I was a kid. I think that's definitely past your guys' time, but when I was a kid, there were these things called Rescue Rangers, and the proportions
I know.
awful. And the toy that I had when I was a kid, yeah. You guys were like 20 when they came out. If you were playing with Rescue Rangers at 20, that we have an entire like other conversation to have. But I remember when I was a kid, it was an aircraft carrier, right? And they had these little holographic cards. That was that thing where if you move them side to side, the image moves. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So we had those, and they were natural disasters. And the whole thing that you had to do was pick which Rescue Rangers you needed to send to the natural disaster. Weird fucking kid's toy. But let me tell you, if they made a live action Rescue Rangers movie, I would be in the theater in a heartbeat to go see that shit.
Bailey, what year were you born again?
97.
97? So you would have been -8 when that show came out, and me and Bailey Race would have been 4 and 5.
What are you talking about? What show?
Rescue Rangers came out in 1989.
I didn't watch the show. I played the toys. I watched Captain.
No, no. I think you're talking about different things. You're not.
Yeah, no, he's talking about Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. I'm talking about Rescue Rangers humans.
Yeah. He's not talking about Chip and Dale.
No.
What the hell is Rescue Rangers you fucking talking about? Because that's the only one I know.
Look up Rescue Rangers natural disaster aircraft carrier.
My niece is what's Rescue Rangers, yeah.
Like the cart, not the Chip and Dale, but like
not the Chip and Dale one. No.
The human, like wild proportions, like response to natural disaster.
Either way, we're getting way off track here.
So, anyways, I would love to see more movies made about toy IPs, as long as they're brought, like they bring actual writers, actors, directors. Like I want Greta Gerwig to direct a fucking G.I. Joe movie. Let me tell you that much. I would love that.
What I think, but no, I think that's the thing. I think what they did, firstly, Barbie is a wild movie. Like when you think about what it is and what has been made, the fact that the company themselves, they actually said, yeah, make this film about our brand, like probably our biggest brand, right? And they sort of just let it be whatever it is, right? Because it is not, it is not what you expect from a film called Barbie. And I knew what it was going in. I think we all did. It's not just a fun toy film or anything. Like, it's got a proper message in it, a very good, very relevant message.
Yeah, the amount of social commentary, I didn't expect that much, but I knew it was coming.
I mean, you know, it hits you with that message very, very clearly. There's nothing subtle about the film, and it's not trying to be subtle. And I don't think it has to either.
No, which I think is why it works as well as it does. Is because it is
exactly.
Yeah,
and you know, it's the sort of, you know, you're hearing all this stuff about like men in the cinema being like, oh, what is this? You know, or like just sort of the right wing going crazy about it, and all these things you see online. It's just like, but it's not wrong. Like, this is a film that's just kind of telling you the way it is, you know, and it's not shitting on anyone. It's not telling you that men are awful. It's just like, you know, it's just the way it is, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but the fact that idea and that concept is tied to Barbie, is crazy. Like, you wouldn't, if you'd said that to someone like 10 years ago, they'd have gone, what the hell are you talking about? Get out of my room, right?
Yeah.
But the fact this got made, and it is, I would say, like, you know, 90% successful at what it's doing. I really liked it. I know it is definitely, I would say, women probably view it in a even more effective way. Myself, I viewed it and was sort of like, yep, all that's true. Yeah. And then it's also quite funny a lot of the time. And
do you know, hilarious.
Do you know what, the only thing I would say about the film, and I think you can totally accept this if you, it's one of those films where you just kind of have to accept certain elements about it, right? Obviously, there's the weirdness of the fact that there is something called Barbie Land, and they just roller skate and they're in Venice Beach or whatever. But like, you know, the general reality of it, you have to take a little bit of a leap there. But then of course you do, because it's a weird film. I think the only other thing that didn't quite work for me was maybe Ghost Lady, who just had her own room. You know, the creator of Barbie.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like her character and her points were there for a reason, but the way it was woven in was just a bit like, okay, you know.
Do you know
some
really
of that
fun
stuff
fact?
didn't
It's a
quite
magical
work.
building.
You know a really fun fact? The old woman sitting at the bus stop, that is Barbara. That is the daughter of the creator of Barbie that the original Barbie was modeled after. And what's wild is the studio tried to cut that scene, and Greta Gerwig was like, absolutely not. And I'm so glad that she was able to fight for them to keep it in there, because it is a really nice moment. It is, because it's like, hey, women are beautiful past their prime age. Like, women are beautiful, like, in any shape, any size, any age. And I think like the number of like women and the number of girls that are going to see this that are at an age where they need to be able to hear that, I think it was a moment that was necessary for a lot of people that go and see that movie. You know,
I mean, you can really dissect. That's the other thing. This film has, like, it's not just saying screw the patriarchy. It's saying a ton of stuff. I mean, overall, I felt like the message at the end as well was like, you as an individual are enough, just as yourself or yourself. You don't have to be a couple or anything.
Yeah.
So, you know, there is like, it really did get me thinking for the day after, you know, like it worked on multiple levels.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And can we talk about Michael Cera's character as well? I mean, what a phenomenally well-written character. It was so good. And I love how he is so shy and soft-spoken. And then he straight up murders like 6 people when all the construction workers were trying to build the wall, and they were just building vertically. I love that movie. I love that movie so much. I said we need to go see it again when we can actually get Oppenheimer tickets, because I really want to do the double feature. Like, I really want to go see Oppenheimer, then I want to see Barbie as a palate cleanser. I do these double features all the time. The last one that I did, I went to go and see Mario, and then immediately saw Air right after. Crazy 1-2 punch. I'm known for doing things that are like ridiculous. not yesterday, but Saturday morning, I played 27 holes of golf in a row without stopping. I was on the golf course for 6.5 hours in 105-degree heat here, because we finished 18, and this golf course has 3 9-hole courses, right? So 27 holes total. And my friend and I were like, well, all the people that we know that we golf with have never completed the McCabe Crucible, which the course is McCabe, and the McCabe Crucible is all 27 without a break. And by the time that we finished the final 27, both of us had broken a club out of frustration. So I need to go get my club reshafted now because I broke it in half.
Is this a new hobby?
I've been golfing since I was a kid.
I just feel like every time you're on the show, you talk about, like, first you say, like, I have no time to do anything. But then it's like you're doing a million different things that if you, like, took one thing away, you'd have more time for yourself.
For the last 5 months, I've been golfing every Saturday morning. That's like my like kind of like habitual like reset to the week is I go out at 7 a.m. and I golf a full 18 with the same 3 people. And so that's like, you know, I love it. But we were like, hey, let's go out at 7 a.m. Let's see if we can finish all 27. And by the time that we finished all 27, it was 6.5 hours. I came home. I had plans to finish working on a project that I was working on, which I finished yesterday, which is fine. I just woke up way earlier than I planned on for my Sunday to get the extra couple of hours in. But I pretty much came home. We were planning on going and meeting up with some friends for some lunch by the pool, and then I was gonna come home and work. I got home, immediately passed out. I took a shower and then slept in my bed for like 5 hours. It was 105-degree heat. I, on the 27th hole, missed the ball with my driver and almost popped my knee out of my socket. So I was super sore. And so it was not fun. I'm never doing 27 holes again, but you know, we finished all 27. And so we are now the only 2 people out of the 15 people that we know that golf that have ever completed the 27 holes at this golf course in one go. And I'm proud of that. I'm never going to do it again, but I'm proud of it. And so, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It just sucks that I lost my favorite club because I went to go and hit with my 3-wood and completely chunked it. Ball only went like 15, 20 yards forward. And so I spiked the club into the ground, but didn't realize that grass area was incredibly dry. And so the carbon fiber club just snapped in half.
Well,
yeah.
I have nothing to add on golf at all. So what I will say is going back to what you said before your rant about golf. You mentioned Air, which I watched recently, which I thought was, do you know what? I thought it was okay. I didn't like it as much as I know you did. You definitely liked it.
I loved that movie, but I think that's just because I'm a big sneakerhead. So it was kind of like
it was okay.
It hit a little bit different for me than I think it would like the average person.
But I think that we're in this really weird point right now where we're getting loads of these films that are about stuff, right?
Yeah.
Products, yeah. And to be honest with you, I do quite enjoy it, especially when it's stuff that's sort of about things from when I was younger, because it does, you know, it gets your brain thinking, it brings all the memories back. Sure, if you want to be cynical, it's just very well done marketing, etc. But and we were talking about this just before we started, that film, The Beanie Bubble. Is that what it's called? The Beanie Bubble.
Yeah.
I watched that on Friday, and you know, I don't really have any interest in that, but we sort of watched the trailer and I was like, okay, that's a good cast. Watch the film. It's an entertaining film. It's an entertaining film that tells you a weird story from the, what was it, the early 2000s, I guess?
Early 90s.
Early 90s.
96.
I should know because they put the year on the screen multiple times within the film.
And it rolls back and forth multiple times.
Yes, it does. It was the mid 90s. It was the mid 90s. Of course,
mid 90s. It was right before I was born.
Yes, it was. And like, you know, I do find those
Anthony, is that one tear rolling down your cheek that I see after I said that?
No, but I'm fine. I will tell you, for being 38 years old, I feel pretty good about myself. So I don't worry.
For being 26, I feel pretty bad about myself. So I'm glad that we balance out a little bit right there.
Listen, you can have all
for
the hair
being
you want.
39, I feel fine. I'm in the middle.
That's great. I'm glad that all of us are on the same level. So
yeah. And actually, talking about product films, the one I quite want to watch, which I don't think it's out yet, is the Blackberry film, and that's mainly.
Oh yeah.
Glenn Howerton from It's
Yeah.
Always Sunny. He's in it like bald, which is just
Yeah.
wild to see him looking like that. He's
He's
kind
like
of
the
the main
founder of
reason I
Black,
want to watch that
isn't he?
film.
Could you
Yeah,
imagine
yeah.
the year 2004 and we're at a table and you said, hey, in the year 2023, there's going to be a year where there's movies out about Barbie, BlackBerry phones, Air Jordans. What else has come out this year? I mean,
Tetris,
Transformers.
Oh, that was a great film. I loved that.
Really
the
good
Tetris
film.
movie.
Really
Tetris
Loved
was really good.
I love Taron Egerton, so I think I was a little bit biased on that, but great movie all in all.
Yeah.
oh, legitimately very good film. That
Yeah,
I thought.
yeah.
Yeah, edge of your seat, like it's crazy that's actually happened. But I mean, think about all of these films. But I will say, I think this all kind of ties into what we originally started with. I think there's too much coming out now. We went from where the
Yeah, there
pandemic
is.
we had nothing, right? We were basically
Yeah.
going nothing, to now it's sensory overload. To yesterday, we get a message that basically because of the writer's strike, whatever your opinion is on that or not, that their Sony is Spider-Man Into the Universe is indefinitely like on hold.
Yeah,
They have no idea when they're gonna.
Definitely.
Which is a big bummer, but I mean I get it, and you know I'm glad that
Was it?
they're not
Was it
trying
meant to be next year?
It was meant to be next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
February. And then Craven,
Oh man, yeah.
Craven is now put out till August the next year, which I'm still like on the fence of like how that movie's
I
going.
mean, we were all very excited for Craven, weren't we?
Well,
All.
who's playing Craven again? It's
Aaron
what's his
Taylor
nuts?
Johnson.
Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson, which I like him as an actor.
Looking jacked.
I like him as an actor. I really enjoyed him in Bullet Train. I mean,
great.
Anthony and I saw that movie together, and I think we were leaving, and I said that the two brothers were my favorite characters from the movie.
Yeah. They were.
Just because I love. Oh, what's the other guy's name?
Can't remember. He's good though.
Oh fuck, he played Hephaestus in Eternals.
I blocked that movie.
I don't know. It'll come to me. But yeah, I love Aaron Taylor Johnson, and so I'm really glad to see him in more movies. Although it's wild because I think this is his third Marvel movie as a different character, which is really interesting. Yeah, he was Quicksilver in Avengers: Age of Ultron, and then he was also I can't remember. He played one other person, but voice acting, and I can't remember who. But it's just really funny that he has now
Quicksilver
been
was
in.
Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
Yeah. He died.
he's Wanda Maximoff's brother.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! God, there's just
Totally forgot that.
totally
Yeah.
fucking forgot about that.
Yeah.
But then it is the different universe, isn't it? It's the Sony verse,
Yeah.
the Sony
yeah.
Spider Verse.
But
So-
but then again, Craven's coming out now. Has got moved on, and now they're talking potentially Deadpool's going to be announced today is getting pushed off. Which also, P.S. I'm very excited that the hinted villain is Loki. I think that's going to be pretty amazing.
Well,
Oh,
the
really?
hinted villain's also Wanda Maximoff. They said it's a very well-established character in the MCU.
It was just that
Okay.
the photo that was on Instagram on Friday shows Loki's costume on set. Now, once again,
Yeah.
this could be totally Ryan Reynolds fucking with people because he's very well known to do that. But
Well, they're going into the Void from Loki season 1. Like that's already confirmed that they're going into the Void. So I think we're just gonna have kind of like a crisscross
stuff.
with Loki. But that's also to say the speculated plot of this movie is the TVA is hunting them down, and we know that Loki is now an agent for the TVA after season 1, and so like. That's not to say that we're going to have Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and Deadpool going through different realities and different times and whatnot. And Loki being the villain is just an agent from the TVA that's trying to stop them and track them down. So like it's plausible. I
got to say, what everything you're saying is just bumming me out, man. Like,
Why?
Because I don't want them to do this shit where it's like, hey, have you watched that two series of Loki? That character, he's in this film now.
Yeah, but I mean,
Like,
Loki was
do your own. No.
Loki was some of the best
No.
Marvel media to come out recently.
That's fine.
Like,
That's fine.
Yeah, but
that's
it's
that's
too
fine.
mu- it's
But
too
like, just
much.
do your own thing.
This is
It's
what's
too much.
wrong
Yeah,
with
it's too
Marvel
much.
and Disney right now. I don't want to have to do homework for shows constantly or watch previous movies from 10 years ago or understand different backstories to enjoy a movie. The one thing that was great about Deadpool 1 and 2 was it was just a movie. It was a movie that goofed on itself, but it was a good time. You didn't have to overthink it. You didn't have to do it. I understand that you love going into and enjoying all of these different shows and internals and figuring out how all these things cross over. But for me, it doesn't work. And here's the thing: the reason why the original Marvel shows worked, or the original Marvel movies work so well, is because the characters were relatable and you loved them. The reason DC isn't working right now, or the reason why a lot of the characters in Marvel aren't working right now, is because they're just not lovable. They're just not like they're coming and going so quickly, and there's they're a quick glimpse in a damn show, and then you're supposed to understand and love them, and then make a movie about them. It just doesn't work that way.
It's a bad idea. Yeah.
You know what's something interesting is yesterday I rewatched the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk because it's now on Disney Plus streaming again. And what I find really interesting is that came out in the same month as Iron Man, like the original Iron Man, which launched the MCU. And it's interesting to look at because they were both Marvel movies, and the original Incredible Hulk from not the original Incredible Hulk, because I know there's a 2003 movie as well, but the Incredible Hulk from 2008. In that movie, they reference Shield. They have Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. They planned for that movie to be a tandem launch with the MCU, which is why we never got an Incredible Hulk in the MCU, is because they planned out the 10 years or whatever for the Avengers and all of that. They planned it out to include that. And so they didn't have any room in the time slots for an Incredible Hulk movie. But you saw they were two drastically different movies. The Incredible Hulk was darker. It was grittier. It was more serious. Like color-wise, it was more desaturated. Like it was meant to be like a gritty DC superhero movie. Because I think those came out around the same time that the Nolan trilogy started. Yeah? Like the Dark Knight movies?
Yes. Dark Knight was early 2000s. Makes sense.
Yep. And so those movies were dark. They were gritty. They were popular. And so I think Marvel was like, okay, we're going to launch Incredible Hulk. That's going to be a dark, gritty, serious movie. And we're also going to launch Iron Man. Iron Man is a lot more comical. Iron Man kind of set the stage for what Marvel was going to be compared to DC. And I think it's really interesting looking at both of those movies coming out around the same time. And then Marvel using them as almost like okay, we're going to see which one performs better. That's going to be the tone of the MCU. And so it's really interesting seeing the contrast between the two of them, but how both of them are in the MCU because all of the different, like they all are tied together. And, it's interesting too, because now Marvel is retconning all of the events that happened in that movie to include like Mark Ruffalo as the Incredible Hulk. And what do you mean
the retconning it?
So they're going back and they're changing the events of that movie to include Mark Ruffalo. So in What If
you mean in What If?
No, in other parts as well. So Mark Ruffalo references those events as if it was him. And not in What If, but in like little here and there throughout the movies.
Oh no.
And so
no, I just presumed it was he's just a different actor. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but they're trying to make it where he's saying like, no, that was me. And so they're trying to make it so in the MCU can like continuity. It was anyways. So in What If season 1,
it was always part of the MCU.
It was
just different actor.
Yeah. But they're retconning it with like, oh no, Mark Ruffalo's character was there, is they're trying to say. So they're trying to completely like write Edward Norton's character out of that movie and trying to replace it in the MCU continuum with Mark Ruffalo.
But it's the same character. It is the same character though.
Same character, yeah. But they're trying to say that it was Mark Ruffalo's Incredible Hulk. That was, anyways. Okay, so What If season 1, they have an episode where Hank Pym, Ant-Man, is going and murdering the Avengers. And when the Incredible Hulk is killed, it is the exact same scene from the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk on the college campus, but they changed the face from Edward Norton's Incredible Hulk to Mark Ruffalo's Incredible Hulk.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, but you would do that anyway, because they've recast him.
Right, and then in Brave New World, now that they changed the name of the new Captain America, because now it's going to be Captain America Brave New World versus New World Order, which kind of hate. I get why they changed it, but I really loved the name Captain America New World Order. I thought that was cool as hell. Yeah. But in that movie, not Tim Roth, but the actor that played Mr. Blue in the Edward Norton movie.
The guy that got his head melted. Yeah.
The leader. Yeah. His name is the leader, and he got gamma radiation and his brain grew like exponentially, but his body stayed the same because he's supposed to be the brains to the Hulk's bronze, like in terms of how gamma radiation affected them. But at the end of the movie, you see his brain start to mutate, and that was the only tease. Marvel didn't do anything with it now for 15 years, and it's speculated that in Brave New World, he is going to be the main villain.
100%.
Which I'm super excited about because the leader in the comic books, incredible villain, incredible character. And so I'm so stoked that not only are they bringing him back, but they're actually going to make him comic accurate to what he looks like because they did include his brain mutating like on the end of the movie.
It's going to be just as comic accurate as MODOK was.
Yeah, I'm the only one out of the three of us that actually enjoyed Quantumania. And I loved how fucking stupid MODOK was.
I didn't say I hated it.
I didn't not enjoy it, but I thought MODOK was fine. But I think it was not a great film.
Correct.
I loved the set pieces. The set pieces and character design were honestly my favorite parts of the movie. Like all of the little aliens from the quantum realm that were like the little like rebel encampment. I thought their designs were all phenomenal, and I thought the CGI environments were all gorgeous. But that's
do you know what though? I think you've actually just touched on what I think my main problem with Quantumania is that can you imagine filming that film? It's literally a green screen the whole time.
Yeah, it's all a green screen soundstage.
Yeah, like that must have been like not fun, man.
No.
But anyway, what I was going to say is I finally watched The Flash.
Oh, good.
Oh boy.
Okay. Yeah.
I might be the only person
I've got
here
some
that
thoughts.
loved it.
Oh, I did not love it. I did not love it. And I am the demographic for it. Look, I'm the demographic because I liked all of the Snyder films. I thought Zack Snyder's Justice League was a really, really good film, 4 hour, whatever it is. And I liked that direction they were taking things. I thought Ezra Miller, for all their faults, as they are not a great person, perhaps, they are a good Flash. I liked that interpretation of the Flash. I thought it was a very good character. And I also thought the costume for the Flash was really good in those previous films. Now this film comes along, and firstly, I don't know what is going on with the costumes. Like, they just look weird. Whenever he's in the costume, I don't know if like it's actually Ezra Miller's face like CGI'd into the costume. There's some really weird stuff going on there. A lot of the CGI is dog shit. It's so bad.
Hold on a second. I want to defend that.
I know they've said that some of that was done on purpose. I don't believe them. I do not believe them at all.
I felt the same way a little bit too.
And then of course Batman being back, like, was great, except totally wasted. And now he's not going to be in Batgirl. He's not going to be in any of the stuff in the future. When the whole idea was Michael Keaton was back, and it was fucking awesome. And he was just in this and just wiped out. And it's like, what's the fucking point, man? So it just let me down on a lot of levels, really. And I bet you there is a much better version of it. And can you imagine being Andy Muschietti? Is that his name? Like, sort of every 6 months, just getting a phone call like, I'm really sorry, man, but like, we've got to redo it. It's a different Batman now. Or like, we know we've already shot 3 different endings, but we've got to do another ending. Oh, and by the way, we're killing the DC universe. So like, can we do something with that? Oh, and also
Robert Pattinson is staying in the new Gods and Monsters DC universe, is he not? Correct. Though I thought that he was going to be James Gunn's Batman. He is.
No. That's not
no.
True. Robert Pattinson that is a separate universe that is
not in Gods and Monsters.
Correct. So the only official actors they have picked for the DCU have been announced, and it was the Superman they picked, the Green Lantern, Hawkgirl.
Who's playing Green Lantern?
Hold on, I can tell you right now.
Because I will say I'm actually very jazzed about the Superman and Lois castings.
I thought so too.
Is it not just exactly the same thing again that we've done 4 or 5 times already?
Well, it's a much younger Superman and Lois, which I'm excited about because the Superman casting. Have you seen The Politician? Either of you on Netflix?
No.
Okay, so The Politician, great show. I highly recommend that you watch it at some point. But the actor that plays like an integral character to the second season and third season of The Politician, he was cast. And so seeing him in that show and seeing how well he acted, I'm incredibly excited to see him play Superman.
Well, yeah,
Just because I think it's going to be a much different, much lighter take on the character compared to what we've got in the last couple of years.
So it's David Corn Sweet is the Clark Kent Superman. Then you have Rachel.
Yeah.
How do you say her last name?
I don't know, but she's the main actor from Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Yeah. So that one. Then Amanda Waller is going to be Viola Davis still. Frank Grillo is Rick Flag. Let's see.
Right. So whoa.
Wait,
Can we just
Frank
hold on
Grillo is Rick Flag?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
he is. Yeah.
insane. Okay.
Yeah, but can we just hold for 1 second?
Yeah.
So Amanda Waller, who's playing her?
Yep. Viola
Davis.
Who is it?
Same actor.
Right. And no, I know who she is. And she was in those past 2 Suicide Squad films, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So we're getting rid of everything except for the one thing that James Gunn directed in the previous universe. Yeah.
Well, no, because he changed the actor that's playing Rick Flag. Because Frank Grillo was not Rick Flag in Suicide Squad.
Frank Grillo is Rick Flag Senior, by the way.
My point is, there you go.
Oh, okay.
And then
all right.
I guess my point is, it's just a little bit like, hey, the one good thing that came out of that universe, I did it.
Was mine.
So we're gonna keep it.
Well, we're gonna see.
Yeah.
The whole cast of Blue Beetle is the whole cast of Blue Beetle is in the new DC universe. Maria Bakalova is Princess Lana Rostovic. I don't know.
She's a great actress. Oh. She played Cosmo in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. She was the voice actress for Cosmo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Indria Varma, who is she's a really good actress. She's playing the Bride of Frankenstein. Zoe Chow is playing Nina Marsko.
Do you know what? Okay, no, you've just reminded me of something as well. So they're doing this whole big relaunch, right? And the first thing that's going to come out of it is, what is it, like the Creature Squad or something? It's some weird animated,
because they have the comic rights to all the fucking Warner monsters. Yeah.
And like, that's a cool idea, but the fact that they're saying the first official thing we're launching this new universe with is this weird thing with creatures, you're just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Here's the thing, though. That's either going to work incredibly well or it's not going to work at all.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Because people love weird shit right now.
Oh,
people love weird shit right now.
It'll probably be quite good.
Green Lantern.
But like, just
Nathan
wait.
Fillion
give
is the Green Lantern.
2 years.
Correct.
He is the
green. But
it just annoys me.
He's not. Gardner is it's the Gardner version of Green Lantern.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway. Yeah,
there's like four. Here's
the thing. I love DC. We're going Batman. We've talked about DC in the past a ton. The problem I have right now is the reason why the past universe didn't work is they waited too long to put the Batman movie out. I think the Batman movie could have tied things in a little bit better, having the version that they wanted to. Because people, the reason the original Marvel's movies work so well, and the ones that are not working so well, is people can relate to the Iron Mans, the Captain Americas, and those characters that they knew that are pretty popular to the general public. Same thing as Batman.
I think the Marvels
Superman.
is about to be a hit.
I don't think the Marvels. I think the Marvels going to flop.
I think it's going to be a hit.
It won't be a hit.
No, it's going to.
I think that I'm getting the same vibes from the Marvels that I got from the original Guardians of the Galaxy. Not 2 or 3, but from the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Haley, you're kidding yourself, man. It might be a good film. No. You are genuinely it might.
I'm not saying it's going to be as good as Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I'm just saying I'm getting the same vibes.
No, but my point is, I think it could be a really good film. It looks great, but it won't be a hit. I highly doubt it's going to do well in the cinema.
No.
You know what we need? We need another Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Wait, no, Thor Ragnarok was a good film.
It was.
Thor Ragnarok was a phenomenal Marvel movie.
But here's the problem. Right now, looking at Marvel's upcoming slate, Secret Invasion, it was a flop, right?
Yeah.
The Marvels, which is, I think got pushed. I think that's getting pushed to next year now too, because it's originally November 10th this year. But from my understanding, reading on the World of Disney on Facebook, is that's supposed to be pushed to April of next year. I think that's gonna be a flop. Echo season 1
could be a good Christmas film.
I mean, if it came out at Christmas, but with everything going, I don't know if it's gonna come out at Christmas. Echo season 1, I don't think that's gonna be successful.
One cares.
Ironheart. No one's gonna care about Ironheart. Agatha, Coven of Chaos. That might be because it ties into the original show, but it's not. It
WandaVision.
doesn't unless it has the original characters in it. No one's gonna care about Agatha the Witch.
It is. It has Catherine Hahn. Like, she's gonna be the main actress because she's Agatha,
No,
and people
I
love
understand
Catherine
that.
Hahn.
What I'm saying is, if it doesn't have Scarlet Witch in it, and if it doesn't have all those characters, people want original characters. People want to be able to relate to those characters. People want to be able to have and this is the word I was looking for. People want to invest in characters. They invest in it. They want to grow with those characters. When you keep bouncing them around, and then you have a show that's off that show but don't have the original characters in it, people get frustrated and they just give up and they go to something else.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I
think
want.
that.
Oh, sorry, Dan. Go ahead. Sorry, my
No. I was just going to say. I was just going to say. I think the problem that they've got is obviously with the end after Endgame, the idea was to have like a fresh new slate of characters, and they've done that. And a lot of those characters are, in theory, good characters with a good basis to be good characters. The problem is, and actually, I was looking at this earlier, like the different phases and the years they've done them across. They are giving you like 200% of the amount of characters in a shorter period of time across so many different formats that it's hard to take in. Like, if you think about the first few films with Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, and I guess that was it for the start, wasn't it? Like, we got those over maybe 5 years, and now we're getting like 3 films a year and 5 TV shows. Like, it's impossible to keep up for most people unless you're truly invested.
Correct.
And I think that's the problem. Like, they're giving you too much. So when you tell me there's a Ironheart TV show, like, as enjoyable as the character was in the film, do I want to watch a TV show all about that character with all of their offshoot characters? And the same goes for Echo. What was Echo in the Hawkeye TV show, right?
Correct.
Echo was in Hawkeye,
Yeah. And she's also got a tie over with Daredevil. So, and then you've got the Daredevil TV show coming up. And I looked at that today, and apparently that's 18 episodes. Who's got the time for 18
Born Again,
episodes?
Yeah.
I can't watch 18 episodes of Daredevil.
You're talking about Daredevil Born Again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just give me 6 episodes or 8, like most TV shows.
You know what I really want to
18.
see? You know what I really want to see tied into the MCU? And I think this is and was a massive missed opportunity when they put out Multiverse of Madness, because they were marketing Multiverse of Madness as a horror movie in the MCU. And they touched on some gore in terms of when, when Scarlet Witch was fighting that alternate reality Avengers. Like, I that scene was honestly probably the best that movie was that fight scene when she was fighting the alternate reality Avengers. That and the scenes introducing them leading up to it, because we got to see we got to see Charles Xavier and our Charles Xavier, not even like the Fox Charles Xavier. Like, we got to see the one that all of us knew and remembered from the early 2000 X-Men movies, and then we also got to see John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, and we got to see live action Captain Britain that was the same actress as Peggy Carter. So we got to see all of what we wanted, and then we got the horror gory fight scene where we got to see people disemboweled, cut in half. I want a true Marvel horror movie so bad. Like, I want them to take one of the IPs that they have, like Werewolf by Midnight or Moon Knight or Scarlet Witch or Agatha. Like, I want them to take one of those like dark mystic arts characters, and I want to see like a true like horror thriller, not even like gory. Like, I don't want body horror. I want just like dark, subtle horror, but in an MCU property. And I know that I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it, but I know that I want that with every fiber of my little Marvel loving being.
I think you're more likely to get that on the Sony side of stuff, where they've got all the Spider-Man characters. Because I think
like the second Venom.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, I thought it was worse than the first one. It was very short.
Yeah,
it was only like 80 minutes long as well. Like, it did so. Yeah, it should have.
And then I was pissed that I was pissed that the after credits scene like showed that Venom was in the MCU reality, and because it was Venom and they were sitting in the hotel room, and on the TV screen it was the reveal that Tom Holland's Peter Parker was Spider-Man, and that was the after credit scene, and then they just never did anything with it. They never did anything with it. And
Well,
I'm pissed about that.
I think the idea, and I do wonder how these strikes and all that stuff's going to affect these things, because this is again, you know, when was the last time they had a big strike? I think it was the late 2007s, around then or something.
Yeah,
like a load of TV shows were affected by it. Then I remember that.
Yeah.
And I reckon there's going to be a lot of ideas that, because at the moment we've got all these things happening, like Spider-Man No Way Home, where you've got these things coming together, which feel like things that would never have happened in the past, and the fact they're happening is pretty wild. And I think there's probably a lot of stuff in the works that were a bit more like that I think are now going to get pushed back, because they'll have to focus on money makers.
Well, that's fine.
I'm
okay with getting pushed back if things are going to be fruition.
Well, that's the I think a lot of these things will just get forgotten about. But what I was going to say is, I think what the rumors are, is that the Venom verse, Spidey, Sony verse, whatever the fuck you want to call it, they were going to do something with either Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield, and be like, he's the Spider-Man over there, which would be really good, I think. And a very
I heard rumors that they were going to do Tobey Maguire Spider-Man being in his like late 30s, early 40s.
I mean,
and be like a really jaded, dark Spider-Man.
I would love them to do something like that, because you know, for me, Spider-Man 1 and 2 with Tobey Maguire, they genuinely the first Spider-Man, seeing it in the cinema, was genuinely the first time I saw a superhero on screen and went, holy shit, that's my childhood. Like there. Yeah. It was phenomenal. I thought it, and I still think it's great. All of them, even the third one that's a bit silly. Like they all worked so well.
Have you guys seen Invincible or read the comics or anything?
I've seen a tiny bit of it, but I've not really. No.
Okay.
I know it's good, but
I love it. I was gonna say, I was actually just talking about this the other day with someone. I think Invincible is probably right now my favorite piece of superhero media out. Just because it is such a well written like comic arc across all. It has like 160 issues plus like 6 different spin-off series that came from it. I think it's
written by the same guy as The Walking Dead.
Yeah, so Robert Kirkman.
He went for it with it.
Yeah, and it but the thing is it's like, as a superhero story, phenomenal. As a story, even better. Like, I think just like as a well-written arc with fully developed characters that are complex, that like, you know, they have shortcomings, they have redemption arcs. Like the characters are so innately human in it. And I think that right there, and Anthony, this goes back to what you were saying earlier with the relatability and everything. I think right now, the characters that we see in the Marvel franchises that are out right now lack that human quality. Yeah. Because that's what we had for the first 10 years of Marvel when we were having all the Avengers stuff happening, is we got to see so much of the same like 8, 9 different superheroes characters that we saw the sides of them that were not the superhero sides. Like we saw the sides of them that were how they interacted together, dealing with the outcomes of their battles. We saw like all of this and all of that. And, you know, I think right now we're not getting that. Because I think right now, in that tailspin that Marvel is in, they are just undercooking and underdeveloping the characters that they are putting out. But the thing with Invincible, like season 1 came out 3 years ago, right? Season 2 comes out in November, which I'm incredibly excited about. You know, that like I just rewatched season 1 to get ready for it. They put out a special episode for right before season 2 that came out during San Diego Comic-Con as a little surprise. I think that show, the characters in it are so well developed, and they show like Mark Grayson, he's invincible. He's the namesake of the show. Mark throughout the show doubts himself so much as a hero in the same episodes where he goes completely kicks the ass of anybody that he fights because he's just so overpowered, but he is just so innately human that he is just like, I do not know if I can handle the responsibility of being a hero. And I think right now we are consistently getting these Marvel movies and Marvel shows where they're immediately like, I'm a hero and I have the power. That's it. We're not getting heroes that are like, well, I have the power and I have to be a hero, but I'm not sure if I have everything else that it takes psychologically or like everything that it takes mentally to hold up the pillars of what I'm being given to hold up. You know,
I think there's more to it too. You mentioned another series that is very similar to what is going on with Marvel, and that was The Walking Dead.
Mhm.
When you have one product that's working and it's on a straight path, and then you start going off to these different directions with different characters and different stories, and you got to watch this because it ties into this one, and then this one ties into this, and you have to. Once again, when you have to start watching, I think that's when people lose interest. I think people go to cinema or watch TV because they're just trying to get away for a little bit. When you make them have to do work, which people are getting away from, to do, people are leaving, work and they're coming home to watch TV or go to a cinema. For the majority of people, and I'm not saying there's people out there that don't love this, but for the majority of people, I don't think people want to do that homework. I think the reason DC is failing is because they've been told for years it's failing. It's not going to be successful. It's never going to be a conclusion to the storyline. So people just gave up on it. The reason why Marvel's failing is because, I don't know what the fuck's going on in the series. I have no idea. I'm lost. Like I right after the finger snap, I was cooked. After the finger snap and they killed him, and then all this other shit started happening, and I had to watch all these shows, and I'm like, I got burnt out on it.
Infinity War is leaps and bounds better than Endgame.
I get that, but it's too much.
Yeah.
Do you know what? The Walking Dead, actually, haven't they got like 3 TV shows coming out in the next few months?
They just put out the first teaser trailer for Daryl's show.
Yeah, I watched that today, and I was like, do you know what? It's a shame that this is tied to The Walking Dead because it looks quite good.
Well,
I like the idea
how he somehow just washes up in France. Like that's the start of the show. Is he just washes up on the coast of France?
But like,
the show initially it takes place in inland in America.
I fell off on that TV show after like the 4th series. Like I was really into it for a little bit, and then it was just like, oh my god, do something.
I stopped watching after the farm. Whatever happened after the farm, I have no fucking clue. I gave up. I used to watch it weekly with one of my good friends and his family. Like it used to be a thing where I was like, every single Sunday when these episodes air, I will be there 30 minutes before, and then we watched The Talking Dead after because we were so invested in that show. But then after the farm arc, I lost it. I couldn't keep up with it anymore.
Yeah,
I tried.
I can guarantee that all these spin-offs will get maybe 1 or 2 series. Like, they're not going to do that well. It's diminishing returns at this point. Yeah. And then they're just kicking their heels until Rick comes back in his own TV show.
What they
they're
need
not
to do
doing the movie now, of course.
They need to give it 5 years to breathe. They need to give it 5 years for people to want more of The Walking Dead, and then after that, that's when they come back with Daryl, and that's when they come back with the City of the Dead or whatever the fuck it's called. But I think like cramming it down immediately, like there are times when you have to strike when the iron is hot, and there are times where you have to reheat the iron and then strike. And I think right now is not a time that they should strike while the iron is hot. I think this is when they need to give it a little bit of time to breathe. They need to give it time for people to actually want more Walking Dead based off the nostalgia that they get from rewatching the first couple of seasons over the next couple of years, and then they come back.
I mean, they did 11 series, 177 episodes. Yeah. That's enough. Yeah. Like that's enough media.
Spin-off, and then they tried, and they did 2 different series that failed after one season.
I will say I liked Fear the Walking Dead better than I liked the original Walking Dead.
They had that one. Then they had the one about the kids that were in the school that they were trying to get through. That got canceled after 1 year. Then they had the one where it was the mini tales about that you had to watch on your phone, where it was on the planes that were doing things.
Do you guys remember? Wait, do you guys remember Quibi?
Oh God,
I remember I subscribed to a year of Quibi when it first came out, and I was so excited for it because they had a show that was kind of. Do you guys remember Most Dangerous Hunt? Did you ever read that book?
No.
Or Most Dangerous Game. Sorry, Most Dangerous Game, not Most Dangerous Hunt, but Most Dangerous Game, where it's like hunting humans for sport. They had a version of that in a city starring one of the Hemsworths, and then what's his name? Who's the guy that played the more famous Nazi in Inglourious Bastards?
Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, he was in it. He was the main like rich guy that was hosting the whole like if you survive for 48 hours from all of these bounty hunters, you get like $5 million or something like that. And so like I watched that, and then 2 days after I finished that, they were like, yeah, by the way, Quibi's bankrupt. Sorry guys. And so it existed for like 2 weeks. And then it just disappeared.
So weird.
It is. But once again, that's another. The whole Quibi thing's interesting because the fact that was like funded on like false funding and all that other stuff is interesting. That's a whole different story. But no, like I said, I think we're in a time right now that there's a lot of I think we're oversaturated with stuff because we have the ability to. It's not like back in the day where it was you had one option to watch TV and it was just a couple channels and that's it.
Yeah.
You went to the cinema on the weekend. I mean, think about it. Transformers came out 2 months ago and it's on Peacock as of 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I need to see that.
I mean, Asteroid City, which, by the way, it's probably one of my favorite Wes Anderson movies now. I really, really enjoyed it. Asteroid City, 6 days after it premiered in theaters, it was available for streaming online.
Because it flopped. And I was not a fan of that movie.
You didn't like it?
No.
Oh, well, Dan hated it so much that he got off camera.
He said, fuck this.
Yeah.
And you know what's going to happen now? Dan's going to put his headphones on again.
And he's not going to be able to
be
hear us.
connected.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting. But yeah, no, it is.
I mean, we're out of time anyways. We've been going for an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Not to be the one that keeps you in check, because you're usually the one that does that. But
no. It is all good. My sense of time right now is out the fucking window. I got to go shower. I got to go to work. I got things I got to do today too. You have to produce bountiful artwork that goes on people's walls that they love and admire for years to come.
And then Dan and I have to talk. We're officially doing another collab now that we have to discuss details on. So
that's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. And I just got approval on a massive poster, and I'm about to finish up on another massive poster that comes out on the exact same day on the other side of the country. So,
well, that's awesome. I'm very happy for you. And every time I look on Facebook, you have something coming out. You are somewhere selling something and going from there. I know a couple weeks ago you had the store reopen. I ended up buying a bunch of shirts from you.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of things up there. It was pretty awesome. It was pretty exciting to see that.
So it's exciting times, and I have 2 more pieces coming out with Spoke Art throughout the rest of the year, which I'm excited about. I'll be at New York Comic Con with them.
Really?
I'm going to be going and doing a tabling event with them and doing a signing and everything at their booth one day. I'm excited. I don't know if I can say what property it's coming out for, but it is a video game, and it is one of my favorite video games, and it is also going to be one of my first 24x36 single image posters. Wow. Which I'm really excited about. So it'll be cool. And then I think it's also going to be one of my first. It's also going to be one of my first times ever doing an image that is more than 6 colors. Well, more than 7 colors. So I think it's going to be pushing towards 10.
Look at that puzzled face on Dan. He has been disconnected.
Dan, can you hear us? Oh, now we can't hear him. Okay, it's one or the other.
All right.
No. I'm back. I'm back.
I thought he was being serious. Well, I also saw you had something at San Diego Comic Con. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yep. I had a piece for Zelda come out with San Diego Comic Con, which I was super stoked on, super happy. And then also, I have a piece coming out with Spoke for New York Comic Con, as well as a standalone Spoke release coming out later this year. Another video game property, and also another 24x36, which I'm super excited about. Wow. So they asked me on, they were like, we want you to do 5 things for this year. And, they were pretty much like, what do you want to do? I gave them my list of things, and they greenlit 5 of them. And, we have everything planned throughout the end of the year. And then they want me to do more next year as well. So
nice.
It's exciting.
All right. Well, listen, I'm going to say we're going to wrap the show, but we're going to do it in a way that goes quick and fun and fast. Give up. Everyone has 30 seconds to say their goodbye, say what they want to, and then we bounce from there. I will start this by saying today is a 3-year anniversary of Touring Fan Live. I didn't realize that till I woke up this morning and saw it on the thing. I'm quite puzzled by the fact of how quick these 3 years have gone and how much money we've raised as an organization for nonprofits over the last 3 years. I thank Bailey and Dan, Dan's been coming on different aspects of my show for almost 5 years now. I think the first episode came out. And Bailey was one of the first show. Bailey came on when he was in his apartment in Baltimore, right when he did his Pearl Jam print, and we had a great conversation. And I'll never forget after the show, he goes, "Anthony, I don't know if I talked too much or if I didn't talk enough, and I didn't know what to do with my hands, so I kept my hands on my lap, but then I kept putting them up." And I remember that grew a friendship that I admire, and we've got to hang out a bunch of times. So it's pretty cool that this show was able to bring all of us together. So I appreciate that. And then I will say that if there's 2 movies out right now that I highly recommend you see, if you're an adult and you want to go see a scary movie, go see Talk to Me. It is the new horror movie in theaters that I absolutely adore. It was really
it's about
good.
a seance, yeah?
Oh yeah, well, kind of. I don't want to give it away because it's kind of a movie that's never been done before, and I like the way it was done. And then also, I think Haunted Mansion is the best Disney movie to come out in a very long time.
I heard that it's an actual horror movie, but it's also a soft remake of Haunted Mansion, which
correct,
I'm super excited
this
about.
very much Disney gave them the ability to be PG-13. Definitely some jump scares, definitely some dark elements, definitely more things in it that the last one couldn't do, and I definitely think it was done correctly. I think it was just released at the wrong time. I hope that digitally it does better and that they put a sequel into it.
I think once it's only in theaters right now. Yeah, it's not on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, no, it's on Disney Plus. It's only in cinema.
Yeah.
All right, Bailey, go
I
ahead.
think when it actually hits Disney Plus, I think it's going to see its main numbers, and that's what's going to kind of like drive them to do a sequel, and that'll do better in theaters.
All right, Bailey, you got 30 seconds. Go.
You have a crickets button. Thank you. Just I'm trying to think. I don't know. There's still a couple of Spirited Away copies available regular in the Spoke Art store. We released 120 of them, and I think we're down below the last 30. And then Zelda is available for another 2 days through them until we close off the pre-order and send them off to the printer. Other than that, got a couple of fun things coming out. Dan and I are doing another collab officially, so we're talking about that here soon, which is going to be pretty exciting. In August, I have 4 new posters coming out, so that'll be exciting, and all of them are all like big bands, so that's going to be really exciting to see all of those. I don't know. I think that's really it, and I'm going to be in Mexico in November for a flat stock down there, but I mean, we're going to talk about that closer, so. Yeah, thanks. Grazie.
All right, Dan, go with your 30 seconds.
I don't know that I've got much to share either, really. I've got lots of stuff. I got lots of stuff in my store for sale. If anyone wants some prints, go buy some prints. I'm just doing lots of stuff at the moment that is all behind the scenes. I'm doing less than Bailey, not as much as Bailey.
No one ever
young.
does as much as me. The only other people that do as much as me is F4D, and they have 4 artists working for them.
I used to do lots of work, but now I try to do as little work as I can.
I can understand that.
Do you know what? I'm sort of loading the end of my year with. I'll probably have like 30 things come out at the end of the year because I'm just doing stuff throughout the year, and then I'll just be like, here it all is. And I'm going to Adobe Max again in LA, which I've been to.
When?
October. So if anyone's going to be at Adobe Max, I'll be there.
Word.
I think that's it, really. Yeah.
Oh.
That's me.
Well, until next time, I'm Anthony. That's Dan. That's Bailey. This is 3 Pints of Pop on an early morning episode. Until next time, that'll be next month. We'll have topics. We'll get more organized. Hopefully, I'll have my graphics from my PC crashing and having to use generic ones. But until next time, thanks for tuning in, and happy 3-year anniversary.
Did you like my freeze frame?
Yeah, that was incredible. I thought you were frozen for a second. Big Danny. I just saw your name. Big Danny. Look at that. Okay.
That's me.